Welcome back, guys.
And we're live. So, hello, everybody, to the first episode of Kilroy's Film Podcast. I'm Owen. This is
Ashton.
And I'm FJ.
And FJ. So, today, guys, what we're going to be doing is kind of talking about movies in general. We're going to start off with the recent movies we've been seeing in theaters and movies we're excited for to come out in theaters and just kind of go down that movie rabbit hole and see where it leads us. Mm-hmm. So, what was the last movie you guys saw in theaters now that theaters are opening back up?
The last movie I saw was Scott Pilgrim's release in the theaters with you, obviously. And I feel like seeing that in theaters really opened my eyes to realize how down bad I was for Ramona Flowers.
Okay, for sure.
I thought he was gonna go to like this whole conversion and be like,
I know.
No.
You know,
I thought you were gonna talk about how down bad you were for Michael Cera.
No.
I went and saw In the Heights.
Really?
Yeah, it was a pretty good musical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really that big of a musical guy,
right?
But I liked I liked Hamilton, so I thought I'd like this. Has a lot of the same actors.
Yeah, because it's by Lin-Manuel Miranda as well.
Yeah.
It is. I know he's in it. He doesn't play that big of a role.
I think he wrote it.
Did he really?
I think he wrote
Yeah,
it.
I'm pretty sure.
I liked it. The musical numbers were all really good. I just thought the plot was a little slow. I definitely felt it dragging near the midpoint where I felt there wasn't much happening.
I saw there was a lot of controversy with it due to lack of representation of different races and body types. That's kind of some of the backlash I was seeing on social media.
Really?
Did that ever strike you at all, or you kind of weren't paying attention to that?
I didn't. I was noticing like that because I thought it was cool how they mentioned like the past of Washington Heights and how he said how he took over the building he used to live in used to be owned by Irish people, which historically Washington Heights used to be a Irish neighborhood, which was the predominant immigrant group. Which I thought was a cool thing.
Yeah.
But
so was it based on a true story, or was it
In the Heights? I didn't notice. I didn't think it was. But I'm not. That could just be me. I didn't do too much background research.
I'll probably end up seeing that. I haven't seen it yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, last movie I saw in theaters was the new Sparks Brothers documentary. It's Edgar Wright's new film. Yeah. You know, director of Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver and those types of movies. And it was his debut documentary, and I really enjoyed it. It was super good. And he's definitely a very talented documentary maker. Him himself had some interviews in it. And, like, if you don't know who Sparks is, of course, they're, like, this old band that's been around for, like, the past 50 years. And they're so influential to music, yet so underrated and unheard of. And it was really interesting hearing all these different perspectives of bands they inspired that are more famous than them and, like, inspired others. And they talked about how, like, there's musicians today making music that sound comes from Sparks, and those bands don't even know who Sparks is. So it's pretty interesting.
So was it like a traditional documentary? Like, was it like did it like have like the traditional things, or was it more of like a movie, sort of like
a biopic,
like Rocket Man? Or
yeah, it wasn't a biopic. It was a documentary,
okay.
Like with interviews, but it was definitely the most lively and like unconventional documentary I've ever seen. Like it was like really fun and like different. Like it wasn't as serious. They just kind of played around with it, and I really liked some of the different things that Edgar Wright did to give it some more character and make it a bit more unique. And so it's pretty interesting. So I would recommend that.
Mm-hmm. So I will say, now that we're on like the topic of like documentaries and biopics, what are your guys' favorite biopics?
I mean, I'd have to go, of course, with like Straight Outta Compton. I think that's like the best biopic about a musical group or musical people that have been made. And there probably was one before it, but that's the earliest one I can think of in terms of biopics.
I'm thinking Bohemian Rhapsody. Just the performances by the actors, spot on.
Yeah,
and
Rami
I feel
Malek.
like it tells a good story of Freddie Mercury and Queen as a whole.
There was one. There's one I saw a couple years ago about Winston Churchill. I can't remember what. Do you remember? It's like something like
keep talking.
It was really good actually. It was about like all the stress and trauma he had to go through, like getting the British public to stay in World War II.
I know what you're talking about. Churchill from 2017.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, it was Darkest Hour. That was it.
Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
It was also a 2017 film. So there was 2 Winston Churchill documentaries in 2017.
That's interesting. But yeah, I guess when you think of biopics, you can also think about people like that. Yeah. There's an Elvis biopic coming out, rumored to be.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. And I
that
think they already announced like who's gonna lead it. Let me look into that. But what would you want to see from an Elvis biopic?
I don't know too much of like Elvis's life story, so I think that'd be probably like the best part of it, like seeing like how he like his humble roots and how he became. Because I know the two Elvises. There's the young Elvis, like country boy, and then there's the old like Vegas Elvis, where he's like in his like big like like jazzy suits and like kind of fat.
Yeah, that's what. It's
I want to see how he gets from the first one, how he gets the former to the latter.
Do hope like in this biopic though they also address like the whole controversy with Elvis's like stealing music from black artists and stuff.
And it's like, so yeah, it's coming out in 2022. It's directed by Baz Luhrmann actually, which is really interesting. I didn't know. I mean, Baz Luhrmann. Don't want to get called out. And Elvis is gonna be played by Austin Butler, and Tom Hanks is gonna be in it. That's pretty
the
cool
cast.
Looks
Looks pretty stacked.
Yeah. Little Richard. We're gonna be some portrayal of Little Richard. So
that's cool.
And Elvis was kind of in that scene as well, like him and Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry wrote a lot of his songs, most notably being Blue Suede Shoes, of course. And so, I mean, that'll be super interesting to see his kind of life played out like that, and from his humble beginnings to absolute stardom, when he owned the world, to his downfall. And so it'd be interesting.
Also, I just remember
died on a toilet.
Like Social Network, that was a really good movie.
That was good.
Oh yeah,
I did like
sure.
Social Network. I also like The Dirt. Motley Crue biopic done by Netflix. Which I feel like was one of the better Netflix done movies. Because normally it's like, oh, it's a Netflix movie. But I feel like that was really well casted and really well directed. You know
what the best Netflix movie is I've ever seen?
What?
Is Marriage Story, which isn't a Netflix original. Like, it's definitely the best Netflix movie I've ever seen. Like, it was so good. It kind of swept up the Oscars a lot in 2018 or 2019. I forget when it came out, but it was really good. It was Noah Baumbach. I don't think I'm pronouncing Bachbaum right, but it's definitely like by him. And he's worked on a lot with Wes Anderson. I know he's worked with Wes Anderson on like Fantastic Mr. Fox and The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. And so it was interesting seeing a solo movie by him, and that was really good. What's a biopic that you would want to see that hasn't been done yet, you think?
So you think you think like rock stars or like?
I mean, anything. The Ray Charles, Jamie Foxx biopic was good. Yeah, so I mean,
that's an interesting one. I could go like, I'm pretty interested in history, so I'd probably choose like a historical figure.
Yeah,
like
cool.
I think like maybe like, even though he gets a lot of talk, I think Alexander, because no one really people know he's like he conquered a lot, he never defeated, but people don't really know his life, and I think his life is really interesting.
Okay.
So I think it'd be cool to like go through like his life and how he there's evidence that he might have murdered his father to like gain the throne. And, like,
happens to the best of us.
Yeah,
what kind of
when you
just gotta murder your dad.
Yeah.
Take the throne,
And then speaking of like streaming services earlier, what do you guys feel about like dual releases, like releasing in cinema and on streaming services? Like I've seen a lot of like HBO Max with like In the Heights released in theaters and on HBO Max.
Or like Disney Plus.
Disney Plus has a bunch of those.
I think dual releases are fine. But I feel like it's a problem when you only release the movie to the streaming service and it doesn't get released to theaters as well. Because then you're like cutting down on an audience that might have been able to go see the movie and would like to go see the movie.
Yeah.
That have to now at least like get a subscription or find their friend who has a subscription and watch it with their friend or something like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. The experience of the cinema is really what makes a lot of movie experiences, I think. Like, I think
sitting with your popcorn.
I was listening to a podcast the other day that had Tarantino on, and he was talking about how if you watch a movie at home on your TV or your laptop and it's like a phenomenal movie and you didn't see it in theaters first, like you haven't seen the movie. You haven't gotten the experience of the movie, about making it an event and sitting with 30 other complete strangers just kind of in that journey and experience. It kind of just like I think you pay more attention to it, you get more out of it, and it's just fun, being in that environment.
I will say back to like how we started off, like when we watched Scott Pilgrim together. I've seen the movie I think at least 2 or 3 times before that.
Right.
But when we watched it in theaters, I was finding stuff that I'd never seen before, like different aspects of it, like the numbers of the different X's on their clothing.
And all the little details that
just
you're
little
putting
aspects that Edgar Wright put in there that I never got from like watching it at home.
That's definitely like, especially like a comedy movies. Like I can't imagine watching a new comedy movie without somebody. I've watched a few comedies by myself before, but they're just so much funnier when you watch them with people, especially in a theater full of paying audience.
You have like that one guy who's got the really funny laugh.
And then or even like just like watching it with someone else in home, because you like in your theater you have to like, there's a certain like expectation. You have to like be cool, you have to like not really talk, but like at home you can like crack jokes to your friend while you're watching a movie. I think that's some plus of it. Yeah,
if it's a more like lighthearted movie, like you can totally just like make that kind of the fun thing as well, like talking about the movie with your friend. If it's more lighthearted movie, we kind of did that when we saw King of Staten Island, Pete Davidson's new movie, for the first time. And so, you know, like there's definitely ways to do it, but you just can't beat the theater experience. Which is why I'm super excited that theaters are really coming back almost stronger than ever. I feel like there's going to be a lot of new stuff rolling out the next 2 years, which will be really exciting.
Also, what's your opinion on like, we talk about like Disney Plus and HBO Max having movies that release on both in theaters and streaming service. What's your opinion on things like where Disney Plus charges you to buy the movie even though you already own the streaming service, so you have to pay extra to watch the movie? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is their business, so they can like make the rules of like how much they charge and what they do. But you know, it's just an unfortunate situation. Like if you're really excited for, especially like cinema lovers, because there are people that like just watch movies to watch movies. They're not really into movies, but somebody who's really into movies, you know, like who wants to like make something special about it but not pay $20 every time a new movie comes out for streaming and stuff. And it's like you know, whenever all the Oscar movies came out this year on like Prime and stuff, they were all like $20, like The Father, Promising Young Woman, Minari, and then when it's that's like, the only way you could watch it.
And then when it's like new, you have to like, you can't rent it for like the $4 that it would be to rent some other movie because it's new. You have to pay for the full price of like seeing it. And then sometimes like they'll get you on like Amazon Prime and stuff like in HD or something. You have to pay extra to see it in HD.
So I mean, I guess you gotta let the business do, you know, whatever decision they're gonna make, but it is unfortunate for the future of cinema with all these inclusions of streaming services. But I don't think theaters will die out in our lifetime, certainly. So that's good, at least.
There's always going to be at least a niche market for it.
Right.
People who like this, who like just the experience of going to the cinema and seeing a movie like that.
Even like people who aren't total movie lovers, like just enjoy going to a movie and like making it an event. I think I'm excited that like more foreign films, I think, are kind of showing in theaters and like getting across, like especially in terms of like Korean cinema, like Parasite, you know, 2 years ago was a huge movie. It like stopped it's all anybody was talking about for a second. This year won a couple Oscars. Minari, which was a Korean American film. You know what? Best foreign film at the Oscars this year, Another Round, by Thomas Vinterberg. It was really good, and like it's interesting watching these films in another language. Like it might be intimidating to someone who's not really that engrossed into it, but like they're always super interesting.
And then you can also, even if you go to a foreign film and you don't know exactly what they're talking about, you can see like the movie and the like how they're shooting it and the cinema aspect of it, where you like can really just focus in on that instead of being more focused on like the content, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and it's like they're kind of styled differently too than American cinema, and so it's kind of interesting to see how other cultures portray film over there. And
it's it's a refreshing take on what we'd see. Like it's sort of like, I wouldn't call it like the Godzilla films of our generation, but more like a different take on it. Like you had like back in like the 80s, Toho making all their Godzilla films, and they're a lot different from like Western films, and they're both their structure and layout, because most of those movies were more like stop motion films, when most of the Western audience had moved on to like what's it called, like special effects, like CGI and stuff like that. And so it was cool to see how this time in Korea, how they're doing things differently than the Western audiences, than the Western companies are.
Yeah, Korea cinema is really booming right now, and you know, obviously Parasite's the biggest example, and so it'll be interesting to see what other kind of projects come out of other countries. You know, what will be the next big foreign hit. It's interesting.
Well, even like earlier, you can think of things like Train to Busan or like other like earlier hits where like they really like nail a genre that's typical, like sort of like overplayed in like West like zombie movies,
right?
Like the endless amount of zombie movies, and they put a new spin on it and make it feel fresh and revitalized. And so I feel like they can.
And it's almost. Oh, sorry.
No,
yeah,
you can
continue.
It was. I'm saying with their new perspective, they can make fresh new takes on these old contrived genres. I think it'd be really cool to see like a Korean Western, even though that might not make very much sense. I think it'd be cool to see like what someone else's lenses could put on an old genre.
Yeah, like someone who's like detracted from the culture of like Western culture.
Mm-hmm. Or like
see like.
That's what spaghetti Western.
Yeah, spaghetti Western, where it's like. You show what a Western is to some guys who don't know what a Western is.
Who don't know what like, the Wild West or like cowboys.
Yeah, and just ask them to try and make it the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's super interesting. I think, are there any new movies coming up that you guys are excited for?
Let me check the
recently, while I'm not the biggest Fast and Furious fan, Fast 9 is going to do something that like no movie franchise has ever done before, being I think... You can fact check me, but the longest saga out right now, which is being like a 9-movie saga.
Yeah, and so that's definitely like that's very impressive.
Like even some of the like it's like quirky, and you know it's cliche, and you know exactly what's gonna happen in the movies.
Yeah,
you can like. You get out of it the fact that it's new and it's long, like the fact that it's setting a new record in history with that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of superhero movies coming out, like
Black Widow.
Black
Widow comes out in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Venom 2,
the
new Spider-Man No Way Home,
right?
The Marvel Eternals. I'm not really sure about the Eternals.
I think it'll be cool. You got to give it a chance.
I do have to give it a chance. The new Marvel movie Shang-Chi. I'm not
Suicide Squad 2.
And then a new Space Jam movie.
Yeah. I think
the new Space Jam movie. I don't know. Have you guys watched the trailer for that?
No, I try not to watch trailers whenever I'm excited for a movie.
Okay,
it kind of makes it more, I
watched it. I hope it lands well.
What do you guys think of, like, movies that just, like, pander to, like, the Chinese audience? Like, talk about a couple years ago, that Warcraft movie that came out. Do you remember that?
I do not.
No.
Oh, so there was this movie that came out. It was Warcraft is a video game that's very big in China. It has like something like this might be wildly wrong, but probably like 100 million active users in China alone.
Okay.
And so they made a movie just to like capitalize off the Chinese audience, and it did very well in China and very poorly in everywhere else. And so what do you think about like movies that just pander, like they're made by Western companies but aren't really made for the audience that they should cater to? Do you think?
I feel like
I don't know.
If you're talking about the new Marvel movie,
I
feel like people are gonna go see it because it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see it because it's a Marvel movie. Well, like what's going on with the new Marvel movie? Is it not Benedict Cumberbatch?
This is not Benedict. This is a new.
No, this is like a completely.
This is not
story.
Doctor Strange.
It's not. But isn't there a Doctor Strange 2 coming out?
Yeah,
okay, so
I'm
multiple
excited
stuff.
for that.
So it's kind of confusing because you get in the audience who think it's gonna be a Doctor Strange sequel, and then also, so you trick those people, but then like you're not really appealing to like your main market. It's just like to try to get a foreign audience in, which I think is kind of
maybe not necessarily when you think about, because like I feel like they're setting up. I feel like they're setting up the next phase of the MCU,
and I think
they're like introducing these new characters.
But I feel like a lot of people who like the Marvel movies feel betrayed by this, but like they don't feel like they have their interest in art when they're making these movies.
But I feel like moreover, Marvel's trying to diversify the cast, because I don't know if you've noticed it. The Avengers, before R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, but before Chadwick's passing, there were 3 African American characters in the Avengers. So I feel like with the addition of like a Chinese star or like an Asian star, it would be a nice addition to like kind of refresh that kind of genre of action films, in the sense that we're not just seeing an Asian star being portrayed as like this karate master or something, which is normally like a stereotype I feel like it falls into.
I feel you. Yeah, a lot of those like karate films. I mean, when you look at like classic martial art films, those are different. Those are really good. Like
Karate
the
Kid.
classic Japanese. No, not Karate Kid.
What's wrong with Karate Kid?
Well, no, I'm talking about like the classic like samurai martial art movies that actually came out of China and Japan, and like all those like 80s like samurai movies. And those are really cool. And like but there's a lot of influence in that in movies like Big Trouble in Little China. What's one guy and. Kill Bill is very samurai martial arts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I think, like movies will continue to be made in different styles, and people are going to keep experimenting. And, I wouldn't say that Marvel's trying to pander to any kind of audience. I think, because, the characters in this new Doctor Strange-esque movie are characters in the comics, and... Excuse me. I think they're gonna just keep setting up like the next storylines for the MCU, and like kind of how like they gave, how Cap gave his shield to Falcon, you know, and at the end of Endgame, and not Bucky. And it's kind of like they're going to keep progressing the storyline, and we can already kind of see the little stepping stones they're making to make the next 10 years of Marvel movies. So I think that's pretty exciting at the same time.
Look up. Did you hear the controversy with the Star Wars: The Force Awakens poster in China?
No, what's it about?
So what happened was whenever they released the episode 7 in China, they changed the movie poster to get rid of Finn, the black guy. Yeah. And so, because they thought it'd be less palatable to the Chinese audience because they're sort of like homogenous.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple articles here about that, and
it'll look up to the picture. It'll probably load up top.
Yeah,
there it is. There's the one. That's the Chinese one, and that's the American one.
Yeah, I'll flash a picture on screen now for anybody who's watching the video format. If you're watching the audio format, it's pretty much just.
Feel free to
John
look
Boyega.
It up yourself.
The actor John Boyega plays Finn in the movie. He's been digitally removed from the poster.
Not digitally removed.
He got shrank down.
He got shrank, but so he's in the background rather than a major character.
Right. Is he a major character?
He is.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
I
actually have seen it.
He's one of the two main protagonists in this movie.
Okay. Yeah. This is one of the new ones that I have seen. I'm not the biggest Star Wars person, but I think I have seen this one. I think I watched this one specifically because of Adam Driver.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big Adam Driver fan. I pretty much like anything he's in.
Yeah.
He's
really good. He's one of the best characters in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I watched a really good Adam Driver movie the other day called Black Klansmen. It was pretty popular. It came out in 2018.
I remember that.
It's Spike Lee's latest movie, or one of his latest. And it was really good. And Adam Driver's in it. And I forget the main guy's name who played it. I'll find it.
I do like Spike Lee and just like his ability to make political commentaries and social commentaries.
Yeah, John David Washington. Played the main guy, Ron Stallworth, right? John David Washington, incredible performance. I really enjoyed the movie a lot, and I would watch it again. I'd easily put it top 50. It was funny, it was lighthearted in moments, but then there's great action, great thrill, and it's all a true story, and it's really interesting. It's about the first black cop in his area, and his assignment is to go undercover in the Klan. Yeah, and it was super good. I really liked it. And so Adam Driver, he was in Marriage Story too. He's the main lead in Marriage Story, and he's a phenomenal actor. I watched another movie starring Adam Driver, the one about 9/11. I forget what it's called now. The Report, I think it was called. And he has such range, and excited to see more of him because I really feel like he's been popping off the last 7 years.
There was this movie I watched. It was about this heist on a racetrack. I can't remember what it was called. It was Logan Lucky. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah.
It was. He was really good in that. It was a heist on a NASCAR track, and how they had, it was your typical heist movie, but with sort of hillbilly planning, if that makes any sense. It was
it's kind of a spoof.
It wasn't spoof, but it was it put a twist on the trope of just Ocean's 11 style heist movies.
Right.
It kind of sounds all about that Benjamins.
Oh yeah.
Where one of the ending scenes, they're at a racetrack and they are working out a money deal. They're trying to get diamonds back. Definitely very interesting.
Okay.
I recommended Ice Cube's in it.
All About Benjamins.
All About the Benjamins.
All About the Benjamins.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Nice. Yeah, there's a new Martin Scorsese movie coming out pretty soon, I know. It's going to be starring DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. And, like, I'm really excited for that. I know it has something to do in the 1920s or 1930s, but, you know, whenever there's a new movie coming out by a director I really like or an actor, I always try to not really, like, read about the plot or watch any trailers because I just want to be completely surprised. I feel like they give away half the movie in a trailer.
Oh, yeah.
And
what was that movie about with DiCaprio in the 20s? We read the book on it.
Oh, Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby. That's a good DiCaprio movie. It has Tobey Maguire in it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the whole trailer thing, though. I feel like if a movie's good enough, what's in the trailer won't spoil the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, if you did it right, you should give enough in the trailer that makes you interested. But once you watch the movie, it's a completely different thing than what you saw in the trailer. It's like...
Yeah. No, I get...
It's like
yeah,
surprising.
for sure. But it's kind of like, you know, I watch movies without seeing the trailer, and then I watch the trailer afterwards just for fun. Yeah. And there's, like, the initial drama that throws the plot, that kicks off the plot in a movie a lot, is often revealed in the trailer. Like, if you I don't know, take like Taken, for example, the Liam Neeson movie. You know, it's all about he's going on a journey to get his daughter back. Yeah. And it's kind of like I went into that not really knowing the plot of it. But if you just watch the trailer, you know that. And so I think it just kind of is more suspenseful and engrosses you more when you go in with no knowledge.
How would you know if you want to see that type of movie if you don't know anything? You don't even know what the movie, like, the type
Well, you
of movie
you might not always like it. You just gotta have to take that risk. I mean, like, if you're not so into the, you know, wasting possibly 2 hours, then don't do that.
Or like $20, like you said.
Yeah, true, for sure. But I don't know. I guess that's just a little thing that I like to do. But it's kind of like it's only really for movies that are by like directors or like companies that I like a lot. Like I'll go into any A24 film unsuspecting, any Marvel movie, any Tarantino, Scorsese, Edgar Wright, Wes Anderson.
Did you watch the Emoji Movie? Because it's by
did not watch the. I did not watch the Emoji
movie. I did watch the Emoji movie. Because I was like, this. Everyone says this is trash. I need to see how trash this is.
Was it trash?
It was so trash. Don't watch the Emoji Movie if you.
You know what's so funny is that like, and then Sony releases Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse like 2 years later, like their next big animated movie, which like is one of my all-time favorite.
It's so good. It's a really good.
It's incredible.
Because it doesn't feel like an animated movie.
It feels like a comic book, but come to life.
Yeah, that's the style they're trying to capture, and like they definitely pulled that off well. It's incredible movie.
But like on the topic of favorite, like you were talking about directors earlier, who would you guys say your favorite director is?
See, I've thought about it, and it's like I think the director that got me into movies, like the original director that I watched the whole catalog of, was of course Spielberg, like possibly the biggest director of all time. And so, you know, I wouldn't say that he's the best director of all time, like,
but your favorite?
I would say he's my favorite, just because of his catalog and because of his cultural impact on pop culture. Like, just any Spielberg movie from the 70s to 2000, it's just all cultural impact. Catch Me If You Can. Why am I blanking now? E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, Goonies. Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. Like, you know,
Indiana Jones.
I said that, but it's like it's just incredible. You know, the cultural impact he's had. He's definitely not like the best director, but I would call him my favorite. What about you?
What was your Ashton?
This might be kind of couple, but I like George Lucas as my favorite director. He doesn't have like a super wide variety of films he does, but the movies that he does do are really good. Like American Graffiti, all the Star Wars movies, they're like excellently like blocked and filmed, and I think that's why he's my favorite director. And even though he's only really directed Episode 4 and then the prequels, but I think whenever he shines in those movies.
Yeah. What do you think?
My favorite's John Hughes.
Okay.
Because I'm like a sucker for nostalgia.
Right.
And those are like coming.
And he controlled
movies.
the 80s.
He controlled the 80s.
Controlled the 80s. Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Like, he's unbeat.
Yeah, 16 Candles.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
Ooh, movie soundtrack.
That's
dang.
Let's say this: original movie soundtrack.
Original.
Instead,
movie
so you're not just relying on like good songs.
Okay, I feel that. I feel
okay,
that.
that's-
Well, I gotta go. The Spider-Verse soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
They made maybe
that or Black Panther
Black Panther. Oh yeah, the
soundtrack
Kendrick album.
was so good.
Shoot,
I think I'm gonna go with
I don't
Black
even know
Panther
my.
soundtrack.
I don't even know my answer for this. I need to think about that.
I don't know of original music. I mean, we got the Back to the Future soundtrack vinyl right there.
But that's really good because of like all the good like original
That's true,
songs, like
that's true.
Mr. Sandman,
Right.
Johnny Be Good,
Right.
Was
But
it?
then like
The two Huey
but
Lewis
then
songs they made
Power
for
of
the
Love
movie.
was
Yeah.
made
Yeah,
for the movie.
and so was Back in Time.
Yeah.
But I would probably have to go with fully original soundtrack. I guess there's not too many movies that do that, but probably Spider-Verse, kind of
Yeah.
like we talked on earlier. They like brought some of the best relevant rappers of the time of that movie, and just every song fit the vibe perfectly. And it's so diverse from like people like XXX and Lil Wayne, Ty Dolla $ign, Juice WRLD,
Post
Ski
Malone.
Mask, Denzel Curry, Post Malone, Corday. Like the soundtrack's insane, and like it'll definitely like it was all they could have gotten bigger rappers, but they're getting rappers on the come up, and they definitely
Yeah.
did that on purpose. I mean, obviously Lil Wayne is not the come up, but
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
But,
about
yeah,
you?
what about
Ashton?
you?
I don't think I'm drawing a blank because
You could go with the score, like
Yeah,
score,
you could for sure go with
the score for
Yeah.
Star Wars. Masterpiece.
Oh, anything John Williams
is so good.
touches
I
is
think
so good.
he's hands down the best composer of cinematic history in my opinion.
Absolutely. Harry Potter, Indiana
Indiana
Jones,
Jones.
Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Back to the Future, I think. On like the no, actually that's scored by Sylvester, whatever his name is. Yeah, so not John, not on that one. But yeah, I mean John Williams is an incredible composer. Like,
Actually, I redact my Black Panther thing.
Okay.
The Tarzan soundtrack done by Phil Collins.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you think it's a joke,
The Elton John song.
but everything on there is gold.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what Phil Collins put into that. He must put like some crack or something. But it was so good.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for watching the first episode of Kilroy's Film Podcast. Once again, I'm Owen.
I'm
Ashton.
FJ. Oh, we
Yep.
said the same
Yeah.
time.
Nice. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you for episode 2. Hopefully someday.